I've always been a water starter guy, but there's no denying that the fire type starters have always been bangers. Except for Delphox. Massive miss there. But other than just looking cool, the fire starters have been solid for the most part. Well, in the ROM hack Elite Redux, where all Pokemon have 4 abilities at the same time, you can choose every fire starter from generations 1 through 9, but which of these is the best? In this video, I'll go through what they can do and rank them to find the best fire starter in Elite Redux. As always, Mega Evolutions won't be considered. Starting in Dex order, we have the mascot of the fire type starters and Game Freak's golden child, Charizard. But first, we'll briefly look at Charmeleon, as the first level cap in this game is 16. Charmeleon is a decently fast special attacker with 85 in both special attack and speed. Its defenses aren't the greatest, but fire type is a good defensive typing, so that helps. What can also help is its Flame Body choice ability, potentially burning attackers, helping it survive more hits. Charmeleon's Pyromancy ability is better for this though, making moves inflict burn 5 times as often, so a move like Fire Blast always gets the burn. What's really cool is it gets Half Drake as a choice ability, which turns it into a Dragon Fire type. This lets it change around its weaknesses depending on the fight. After beating the second gym and raising the level cap to 36, you finally get Charizard. Charizard is permanently a fire dragon type now. It's no longer weak to water, which is a big advantage. Its stats are exactly the same as in the base games, which honestly isn't a good thing. 100 in speed and 109 special attack is quite mediocre comparatively. Defenses aren't that amazing either, but at least it has a good defensive typing. With its Molten Down ability, it has good matchups into rock types, as its fire moves become super effective against them. This is just one of the 3 choice abilities it has. Giant Wings is another one and gives most of its flying moves a boost. It basically is a Pokemon with 3 types because it gets Levitate as an innate, so it gets the immunity to flying while pretty much having Stab on them. If you want to run a physical set, you could run the Tough Claws ability. Considering all the physical moves it gets, it's not a bad option. If you want the best out of Charizard, you probably want it on a Sun team, as Sun Worship will give it a +1 to its highest stat when entering in the Sun. Overall, it's a fine fire type starter. Nothing game breaking, but you won't hate it. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Next, we move to Gen 2, where we have possibly the best line of starters design-wise in the series, the Cyndaquil line. At level 16, you get Quilava and its brand new secondary typing of ground. Stay away from water. Having the exact same stats as Charmeleon, funnily enough, so a decent early game attacker. One of the choice abilities it gets is Sand Rush, giving it a 50% boost in the sand, but it can't set up sand on its own for some reason, so it needs some help to activate it. It does get a priority Mud Shot, which can be boosted by its Earthbound ability, perfect for Roxanne's gym and even for the Steven Stone battle. At level 36, you actually have 2 choices, regular Typhlosion or the Hisuian version. First, let's talk about the original. Typhlosion keeps its new ground typing and has almost identical stats to Charizard, only having 1 point more in special attack. Might be an allegory for power creep. Still, it's fine in the early game, but also having 100 in speed can be a problem later. Just like its previous evolution though, it can run Sand Rush and be a menace on a sand team. However, the main draw of Typhlosion in this game is its incredible Flaming Soul ability, giving all of its fire moves +1 priority at full health. So yes, this thing can rip off full powered eruptions and blast burns against Pokemon a lot faster than it. Typhlosion also gets Berserk, which gives it a +1 to special attack when below half health. This works well with its Blaze ability, but conflicts with Flaming Soul and Eruption. At the end of the day, this is a really solid starter to choose, but not perfect. 7.5 out of 10. The Hisuian version is pretty similar in a lot of ways. It's slower, having just 85 in speed, but hits much harder with 120 in special attack. It has priority on its ghost moves at full health thanks to the early Grave ability, so 130 base power Spectral Serenade is really strong. What I think helps it stand out over regular Typhlosion slightly is having Ethereal Rush, which gives it a speed boost in the fog. Fog makes Ghost slightly bulkier, where Sand doesn't do the same for ground types. Both Pokemon are so similar though, but I'd give the Hisuian form the edge, 8 out of 10. Next, we have the starter that's native to the Hoenn region, Torchic. Combusken is very similar to the last 2 fire starters, except it doesn't have the speed, sitting at just 65, but is a mixed attacker, as both sit at 85. The speed stat can be easily remedied, as it has the speed boost ability. With the secondary typing of fighting, it actually has the edge over Roxanne. No double kick until after her though, which kinda sucks. After beating Brawly, you get access to Blaziken, and Blaziken is the real deal. Only its HP stat has been upgraded from the original games. It still is a mixed attacker with 120 in attack and 110 in special attack, with 80 in speed, which isn't that impressive. Of course, like the middle stage, it gets the amazing speed boost ability, so a single protect fixes the speed issue pretty quickly. Or you can pair it with a Focus Sash and use something like Swords Dance. It's risky with priority and stuff, but send it out at the right time and it's very capable of sweeping. Pokemon living a strike from it may be screwed even if they survive because Flame Body can just burn them, helping Blaziken survive even more. The cherry on top is the final innate being Striker, giving all kicking moves a 30% boost. Stab, Blaze Kick, and High Jump Kick are all that's needed to blow up a Pokemon. If you aren't running Speed Boost, then Aerodynamics isn't a bad option as it removes its Flying type weakness and lets it get Speed Boost from those moves. Once again, this is a solid Pokemon to throw on any team and has really high potential, but definitely some risks. 8 out of 10. The trend of firefighting types continue, as next we have the Chimchar line. Monferno is a nice combination of the previous three. Speedy, mixed attacker with both attacks and speed in the 80s. However, it's very fragile and won't survive many hits. That's fine though, because it gets Iron Fist to boost up its moves even more. It can also run Power Fist so that its punching moves target the opponent's special defenses. This is really helpful for the first gym with all their defensive monsters. Also can be helpful for Steven Stone's fight. Upgrading to Infernape on the surface isn't too big of a leap. Just like the base games, not a single stat is above 110, and in this game, it's not going to cut it for long. After about the 3rd or 4th gym, there are dozens of Pokemon that can do more than it. However, it does get one saving grace that actually makes it decent. Infernape gets the choice ability Guerrilla Tactics, which essentially gives it a free choice band as it gets a 50% attack boost, but can only use the first move selected. Running a Choice Scarf is one of the best ways to use it anyway, so it's already used to being locked to a move. So with a 50% boost to attack and speed, it can hit really hard and fast, which certainly has value. With the Discipline ability, it won't get locked into really strong moves, so it can run a move like Raging Fury safely. Infernape really isn't amazing, but for what it is, it can get the job done. 6 out of 10. The final starter in the firefighting trio is the Tepig line. Pignite is pretty unique compared to the others on the list so far. It's not very fast with only 55 in speed, but it's also not very bulky as both defenses have 55 as well. 92 in HP is good though, and 93 in attack is the highest of any middle stage on this list. Its speed can easily be fixed as it has the Unburden ability, which will double its speed once the item's used. Bulking up while using a type resist berry can make it really strong, especially with all the ground type moves in the first gym. Emboar has had its stats changed around quite a bit from the real games. 30 was dropped from special attack, bringing it down to 70, while its defenses were raised up to the 80s. With the abilities it has, there's really only 2 ways to run this thing. You can play into its bulk and run different berries with its Gluttony ability. Since Emboar will eat them earlier than usual, and all of them give back 33% of its health, it can run something like a Lechi Berry to give it a +1 in attack, letting it hit so much harder, or a Citrus Berry and restore a massive amount of health. Or you can have a first turn guarantee with the Violent Rush ability, giving it a 50% speed boost and a 20% attack boost on the first turn. Personally, this is what I like to run as its speed is really low so it can use the boost, and slapping on a choice band gives it some really good power. The combination of the innate ability Reckless, giving strong recoil moves 20% more power, and Limber, reducing recoil damage by 50%, it can really deal some devastating damage with moves like Submission, Head Smash, Flare Blitz, and Wild Charge. It's really only one turn though, and sometimes the 50% speed boost still isn't enough to go first. While it can certainly be a wall buster, I'd rather use other firefighting types. 4 out of 10. Finally, no more firefighting types as the Fennekin line switches things up. A secondary typing will have to wait though, as Braixen is a pure fire type, having the highest special attack of any middle stage on the list with 91. With 83 in speed, it's one of the best special attackers in the early game. With Magic Guard, it can run a Life Orb without the recoil. It doesn't have much to deal with Roxanne's gym, but has powerful psychic moves it can use for Brawly. Then it finally gains the secondary typing of Psychic with Delphox. Having the exact same stats as the base games, Delphox has the highest special attack of any Pokemon on the list at 114. 105 in speed is decent as well. Magic Guard is an innate now, so it can still run Life Orb, but now gets more abilities to play around with. Forewarn is very strong as it casts a 50 base power Future Sight on entry. In 2 turns, this can really hurt a Pokemon and can be really clutch if you use it right. Mystic Power is also really strong, giving all moves stab. Thunderbolt is great coverage against water types, as well as Shadow Ball for ghosts. Delphox also gets a really rare ability as an innate. Telekinetic lets it use Telekinesis on entry, bypassing accuracy on Pokemon for 3 turns. So if they're slower, they will be put to sleep with Hypnosis. Can win a lot of 1v1s that way. Honestly, Delphox is a decent fire type to put on a team. 7 out of 10. With Gen 7, we have the Litten line and the often forgotten Torracat. Once again, a pure fire type, but this time it's a mixed attacker. 80s in both attack stats is standard, and 90 in speed makes it the second fastest on the list. Its defenses are horrible though. The bad luck ability really helps out with this, as all opponents' moves will low roll and have a 5% chance to miss. Solid ability. Or it can have Intimidate, which is always a plus, especially in the early game. Eventually, you get to evolve it into the greatest Pokemon in the history of competitive Pokemon, Incineroar. How does it hold up in Elite Redux? Its stats don't really change. It's a strong physical attacker with decent bulk, but slow speed at 60. This speed stat can actually work to its benefit though, with its choice ability Stall reducing all damage to it by 30% if it goes last. This is great because it actually wants to be hit. The Anger Point innate ability will raise its attack by 1 each time it's hit, so you better take it out on the first hit or it's going to hit back very, very hard. Incineroar can also have Intimidate or Scare, which will lower special attack, also making it tough to take out, but also just makes it a great support Pokemon. Moves like Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Snarl also help. The Combat Specialist innate powers up all of its punching and kicking moves by 30%, so it can certainly hit hard when it needs to. Unfortunately, it doesn't power up Sucker Punch, but it's still an amazing move to run, especially if Anger Point powers it up enough. Incineroar is a top tier support Pokemon and can be a threat on its own if it needs to be. 8 out of 10. Generation 8 starter Pokemon Scorbunny is pretty straightforward. The middle evolution Reboot is a glass cannon, having the highest speed of any middle stage on the list at 94, and a really nice attack stat of 86, with basically no defense to speak of. It's honestly nothing special in the early game. It doesn't really have great coverage, but at least with Libero you can switch its typing around to help it in certain situations. Cinderace is more the same but just upgraded, having even better stats than the base games, as both attack and speed sit at 120. Making it the fastest fire starter in the game. Cinderace is all about hitting you fast and with crazy power. Keen Eye can be run if you're scared of missing moves like High Jump Kick or missing Pyro Ball, but if you don't mind the risk, then running Pyromancy to increase burn chance by 5 times is best. Libero is an innate, so all moves have Stab like High Horsepower and Knockoff, but can help it survive even more. These are all really strong moves, and the Striker ability increases their power even more, including Pyro Ball. Throw Cinderace on any team and it should be solid. 7 out of 10. Last is the newest fire-type starter, Fuecoco. Crocolore has decent physical bulk with 78 in defense and 86 in HP, so an Eviolite can really help it out. But it can also hit pretty hard with 90 in special attack. The choice ability Immolate will turn normal moves into fire, making Hyper Voice one of the best early game fire moves to run. Or it can run Banshee, making normal moves Ghost. It's not Stab yet, so it wouldn't be as strong. There really isn't a ton it can do for the early game gyms though. The Fire Ghost starter Skeledirge is once again a direct upgrade, having the same stats as the base games. Solid defense and solid special attack. Speed is really bad at 66, so it usually needs help from items. Running Assault Vest or Tack Vest can really help it survive more hits. Having the Unaware ability can stop setup sweepers in their tracks. Choice Scarf can really help Skeledirge sweep through teams in certain situations. Torch Song, which gives it a +1 in special attack each time it's used, is being boosted by its innate ability Amplifier, so it's even stronger. If a Pokemon can outspeed it, then it's definitely in trouble. With access to Boom Burst, it has one of the strongest fire or ghost moves in the entire game. It can win a lot of 1v1s, especially with great coverage moves. Hisuian Typhlosion is a slightly better fire ghost though, 7.5 out of 10. For the most part, fire type starters are solid and pretty equal in their power. Depending on your team, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Their Mega Evolutions are where things get really good though, so if you want to see me go over those in the future, be sure to subscribe. I've already gone over Grass and Water starters, so be sure to check those videos out as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.